Ego and health. How the mind's voice impacts the body. Hello and welcome back to Ego Pedia. Don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe so you won't miss any of our latest videos. When we talk about modern health, we usually focus on nutrition, exercise, or sleep. But there's one internal force we often ignore: the ego. Ego is often misunderstood as arrogance or selfishness. But actually, ego is the mental structure that shapes our identity. It's how we see ourselves, how we want to be seen, and how we react when that image is challenged. While ego helps maintain our self-confidence, if left unchecked, it can negatively affect both our mental and physical health. Understanding the ego is essential for true wellness, not just being free from illness, but having emotional resilience, healthy relationships, and a sense of inner peace. Part 1. What is ego in psychology? In psychology, the ego is the part of the mind that balances our basic instincts, morals, and external reality. In simple terms, ego is the feeling of I, our self-worth and identity, the part of us that wants recognition and resists criticism, the part that fears appearing weak or failing. Ego helps us function socially, but when it becomes too rigid, too dominant, or too fragile, it creates stress that can harm our health. Part 2. Psychological effects of a fragile or inflated ego. An ego that constantly tries to protect its image can lead to chronic stress, anxiety, depression, emotional burnout, mood swings. Real-life example: Anna, a successful executive, tied her self-worth to her job title. She feared failure, overworked herself, and avoided asking for help. This led to insomnia, frequent headaches, and irritability, caused not by physical illness, but by a fragile ego. Part 3. Ego and stress, a vicious cycle. The ego often reacts to external threats with inner alarms: criticism, I'm not good enough; anxiety, failure, people will think I'm weak; shame, rejection, I'm not worthy; depression. These ego-driven responses activate the body's stress system, releasing hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. When stress becomes chronic, it causes weakened immune function, high blood pressure, weight gain, inflammation, sleep disturbances. Studies show that ego-related psychological stress directly lowers immunity and increases disease risk. Part 4. Physical effects of ego-driven behavior. 1. Overworking to prove worth. Effects: burnout, heart stress. Thought pattern: I must keep working or I'll fall behind. 2. Suppressing emotions to appear strong. Effects: headaches, muscle tension, digestive issues. Thought pattern: I need to be tough so I don't talk about feelings. 3. Constantly seeking validation. Effects: social media addiction, insomnia, low self-worth. Thought pattern: if no one notices me, I don't matter. 4. Avoiding conflict or acting aggressively. Bottled up emotions may cause anxiety or ulcers. Aggressive outbursts raise blood pressure and heart risk. Part 5. Ego and mental health. A rigid ego blocks healing because it refuses to admit problems, rejects feedback, obsessively defends its image, feels threatened by others' success. Example: Michael, a business owner, took every criticism personally. He thought therapy was for the weak. Eventually, isolation and emotional pressure led to panic attacks and high blood pressure. Part 6. The power of acceptance and letting go. Letting go of the ego doesn't mean giving up. It means not depending on others' approval, accepting imperfection, being open and forming genuine connections. Health benefits of letting go include lower stress, stronger immunity, emotional stability, better relationships, greater mental resilience. Example: mindfulness and meditation help quiet the ego's voice, reduce stress hormones, and boost well-being. Part 7. How to manage the ego for better health. 1. Practice self-awareness. Ask, is this reaction coming from ego? 2. Embrace imperfection. Shift mindset from I must be perfect to I'm learning and growing. 3. Dare to be vulnerable. Talk about struggles. Let go of the need to always seem strong. 4. Prioritize meaning over status. Focus on relationships and purpose, not image. 5. Reflect and meditate. Meditation helps loosen ego's grip. Journaling reveals ego patterns and triggers. Try asking yourself, what am I afraid of if I admit I was wrong? If you like this style, I'll continue with parts 8 to 15 in the same tone and structure. Let me know. Should I go ahead with the rest? Great. Here's the continuation of the Ego and Health TTS-friendly script from Part 8 to Part 15, in the same calm, reflective tone suited for narration on your Ego Pedia channel. Part 8. Ego in Everyday Health Habits. The ego can even influence our daily health choices. Example 1. Exercise. Ego says, I need to look better than others at the gym. Result: overtraining, injury, or giving up when progress is slow. Healthy mindset. I move my body because it feels good and supports my health. Example 2. Diet. Ego says, I must eat perfectly or I've failed. Result: guilt, binge eating, or unsustainable habits. Healthy mindset. I nourish myself with balance, not perfection. Example 3. Rest. Ego says, resting means I'm lazy. Result: burnout and fatigue. Healthy mindset. Rest is recovery, not weakness. Letting go of ego means listening to the body, not punishing it. Part 9. The ego and social comparison. In the age of social media, comparison has become a constant trap. Ego whispers, why don't I have what they have? I should be more successful, more attractive, more admired. This comparison drains our mental energy and disconnects us from reality. We feel inadequate, anxious, competitive in unhealthy ways. But remember, most people show their highlights, not their struggles. Comparison is a game where no one wins, only the ego plays. Healing begins when you stop measuring yourself against others. Part 10. Ego in relationships. Ego shows up in how we relate to others. Needing to always be right, struggling to apologize, taking things personally, expecting others to validate us constantly. Healthy relationships require humility, empathy, space for others to be themselves. When two egos fight, no one truly listens, but when we drop the ego, we create room for connection. True intimacy begins where ego ends. Part 11. Ego and the Fear of Change. The ego is terrified of change because change threatens its identity. That's why we stay in unhealthy routines, resist growth, sabotage new opportunities. The ego says, if I let go of who I am, who will I be? But in reality, growth is not losing yourself. It's becoming more of who you really are, underneath the fear and self-protection. Every transformation in life requires ego death. It's painful, but it's also powerful. The Part 12. Healing through ego awareness. Healing begins with awareness. Start by noticing when you feel defensive, when you fear judgment, when you're trying to prove yourself. These are signs your ego is in control. With awareness, we can choose reflection over reaction, openness over defensiveness, peace over pride. The goal isn't to destroy the ego. The goal is to make it less reactive, more balanced, and less fearful. Part 13. The liberating power of humility. Humility isn't weakness. It's strength without ego. A humble person can admit mistakes, learn from others, say I don't know without shame, grow without needing applause. Humility frees us from the exhausting performance of ego. It lets us show up fully, not just perfectly. Health thrives where humility lives. Part 14. Ego and spiritual growth. Most spiritual traditions teach the same thing. The ego must surrender for the soul to grow. When we live only for ego, we chase status, control, approval. But when we live from the heart, we find presence, compassion, freedom. Spiritual growth is the journey from ego identity to soul awareness, from I am what I do to I am enough as I am. This shift brings inner peace that no achievement can offer. Part 15, Conclusion, Balance the Ego, Heal the Self. The ego is not the enemy, it's a part of us, but it must be guided, not obeyed. When we become aware of its voice, loosen its grip, replace pride with presence, choose meaning over image, we begin to heal, not just emotionally, not just mentally, but physically. Your mind, your body, and your spirit are deeply connected. And healing begins when you let the ego rest. Thank you for watching. If this message resonates with you, please like, subscribe, and share this with someone who might need it today. Until next time, stay aware, stay kind, and stay whole. This is Ego Pedia, where the journey inward begins.